We are recording. This is not turned back on. Okay. Give me just a second and I'll check here. Okay. So we're starting a new unit today. This unit is on a couple different things. It's packed into, it's got three as compared to the one at a time we've been focusing on. But texture and value are things that typically work together in the artistic spaces. They add a lot of just visual interest to your designs, and we're going to apply that as well. But since they're both kind of two halves of the same thing, we're actually going to focus on the pen tool first, because that is our more key graphic design tool that you're going to be using a lot of the time. Now, since the pen tool, if you go to this page, it's currently blank because I haven't updated it yet. And it's also not unit, oh, it is unit 6, never mind. But we're going to focus right here first on assignment 6.1 and 6.2. So if you go into your modules, you can see that this week has been updated, and you can see there's 6.1 and 6.2, which is the pen tool game and the pen tool pre-assessment. So both of these things aim to get you kind of introduced to the pen tool in a very kind of into the deep end way as possible. Because I can explain as much as I want up here, but it's not really one of those things that clicks until you start using it and you start getting familiar with it. Before you do the pen tool pre-assessment though, there's this pen tool game discussion board that I want you guys to look at. And there's a link right here to the Bezier method.ac. It should be unblocked. It was unblocked in the past. This is the Bezier game. Bezier, I don't know how to say it exactly, but it's part of the math that makes the pen tool happen in Illustrator. And this is a lot more interesting way to learn it than if I give you a worksheet like I did with the typography page. So this web page will teach you how the pen tool works for the most part. So like when I click here, it's going to say I have 2 nodes remaining. You're going to see there's a little rubber band attached to my little pen tool cursor. And your goal is to fit these lines inside of the kind of the mazes and line the two up, or connect the start point back to the end point. And each level introduces a new sort of keystroke that changes the way the pen tool functions. So you can see I'm not holding shift. And then as soon as I start holding shift, it snaps that pen tool along the path that I need it to be. Still holding shift. It's still locked in. Morning, welcome back. Thank you. We did. Okay. And then you're going to reconnect that back to the other end. So once you get to the circle though, this is telling you to click and drag. You see when the thing turns black, or not black, but like it blinks, click and drag, you're going to get introduced to these handles right here. You can also hold shift to make these handles snap nicely. You're just going around, completing as many levels as you can. These first couple just kind of introduce you to how the pen tool works. And you want to connect it all back like this. So, for example, this one you'll hold Alt, and you'll see what holding Alt does to your pen tool path. And I want you guys to get as far as you can on this. Since the pen tool is one of those things that takes a little time to master, be patient with yourself. I'll be able to help you, but this is more a measure of how far you can kind of feel out how the pen tool works. So this is that first part. You'll take a screenshot. If you need help taking a screenshot, I can help you at your desk, but you also can go into your Windows bar and type snip. And then the snip and sketch thing will open up. Click new, and that will allow you to take a screenshot like this that you can then save to your OneDrive if you need to. All right. So start with this today, the 6.1 pen tool game, before you move on to the pen tool pre-assessment, which is a lot more like the typography thing, which we'll talk about later on. Where did I put the video? I know I linked a video. I think it was on 6.1. Yes, so there's a video here that if you find it just makes absolutely no sense at all, try out this video so you can see a visual and a little bit more about how the pen tool works, so that you can get as far as you can on the Bezier method. Make sense? Any questions? No? Okay, this is due Friday. Get as far as you can. You just get points for completing, not points for quality. You know, if you make it to the end of the game and you make it to the 3rd level, those are both worth the same amount of points. But you still want to get experienced and give this pen tool a shot, and a way that I think is a little bit more fun than a worksheet is. And then we'll get onto the worksheet for the second half. So start with this, spend about 20 or so minutes on this. I'll do a second Zoom room at that point after your illustrators have finished and your PCs have finished and started working and stuff. And we'll talk about 6.2. Cool. Any questions? All good? All right, go ahead and get started. Okay, so I can hear some of y'all are starting to hit the point where it's stopping making sense. That's okay. That's fine. I do encourage you though to keep visiting this Bezier method page, because the next stage in your pen tool stuff in this pre-assessment sort of thing is to move on to assignment 6.2. Just as a reminder, both of these are based on completion, not on quality, because these are both pre-tests, just to get you guys introduced to the pen tool before we start really diving into it during our block day. So your next thing that you should be focused on is going to be this assignment 6.2 pen tool pre-assessment. Both of these are due Friday, and you have all break to work on them as well. But similarly to how we did the typography, you'll download this PDF and then open it in Illustrator, and then use the pen tool to trace these as best you can. All right. We'll talk about filling them with color, maybe more on the start of our block day, but this is your next stage in the pen tool sort of introductions. We'll do something similar to this towards the end of the unit as well, so you can see how much you've grown in that time. And the pen tool is something like color that we're going to be using really consistently throughout the rest of graphic design. So it's not like we're just going to leave it after Friday, after the break. You will still get plenty of practice, because it's one of the main sort of tools that you need to understand for graphic design as a whole, especially for graphic design 2, and extra especially if you want to go into the graphic design or the visual arts sort of profession outside of high school. And then the last thing I want to talk about before you get, you're welcome to get started on 6.2. But if you look at your thread, there's this PNW design competition. This is something new that is being trialed, or not trialed, but it's new from Mount Si High School, and it runs from March 29th to May 1st, which are the design challenges, and has a in-person event on June 7th at Mount Si High School. So the actual graphic design, or there's two different challenges that this Mount Si High School is running. There's a graphic design challenge where you have this month-long window to work on, where you're given a company by the people who run the contest, and then you have to design a logo for that company. Or if you want to go the illustration route, that's the second challenge that they offer. You're to illustrate a 2-page comic book layout, and the subject is your choice on that one. And so if you visit this link right here, this has the info page for the design competition. It's the first one they've done. So they're obviously there's going to be a few things that are maybe works in progress. Here's the rubric, the things that they're grading you on, the things that you're judging you on at least. Some of the requirements. This is for the illustration challenge, the comic strip or the panel. And then you submit them at this form right here, due on May 1st by 9 p.m. So you have some time. And then there's also the graphic design challenge. Here's the 3 companies that you could choose from, as well as some logo details. And then that's also from Friday the 29th to the 1st. There's your rubric, there's your submission. So if this is something that is interesting to you, I would love to see what you guys can come up with over the next month or so, if you have the time or the energy. And you can submit those to these Google Folders links. There's also some templates provided for the comics. There's some fundamental resources for logo design. We also did some logo design, so you're familiar with that process a little bit. But this is something that they're trying out. It's a way to participate in design communities that are a lot closer to you as compared to kind of ethereal and removed as they tend to be on the internet. So check this out. I think it's cool. I don't think I can participate because I'm not a student, but I would love to if I were in your spot to give this a shot. If nothing else, you'll make some graphic design friends at other schools in the Issaquah district. So think about it. 2 things you got to focus on at the start of today and a little bit more of our block day are assignments 6.1 and 6.2. So do those first. Thanks for listening.